Hi students, welcome to HSC Biology and Module 6, Genetic Change. This is video number 3 and the third in our little mini-series on mutations. This time we're going to be looking at natural mutations. The purpose now is to have a look at this third type of mutagen, the naturally occurring mutagens, and to compare them to our previous look at both electromagnetic radiation and also chemicals. So what we want you to be able to do is to define the term mutagen, to be able to describe now the 3 different types of mutagens that we've looked at or that we will have looked at by the end of this video, and also to evaluate the effect of naturally occurring mutagens on DNA and perhaps compare some of these effects with some of the ones that we've looked at in the earlier videos. So in naturally occurring mutagens, we're basically looking at all natural sources of mutation. So these can be biological and non-biological. So we already know that there are some problems with heavy metals in the environment, particularly things like lead, which we know have an impact on our cells and how they function. They can also have a biological nature. So I've included virus and bacteria here because the way that they operate is to actually invade cells and potentially take over or introduce their own genetic material in as part of the cellular genetic material, and then to have that copied, so that instead of making copies of the cells, what happens is that the cell makes copies of the viral RNA or the bacterial DNA, and so hence continues to prolong that that particular pathogen. So any of these can cause some change in the genetic material, and as we've said, because we've talked about the link between mutation and change in the DNA, anything that causes that is a mutagen. And so we've looked at the fact that electromagnetic radiation can do that. We've looked at the fact that chemicals that can chemically bond in a similar manner to the way that nucleic acids, or at least the components of the nucleotides, bond, can mimic that. And also the either individual organisms themselves or some of the chemicals that are in the environment can also do that sort of thing as well. It may be that certain types of chemicals that are released in the process of metabolism of different microorganisms may also have some impact on genetic material. So a pathogen that causes a disease that invades a body and in the process of its life processes releases certain types of chemicals. If those chemicals can then pass through the cell membrane, they may be able to get to the internal structures within the cells, which can include the genetic material inside of the nucleus. One other type that I haven't talked about are these transposons. Transposons are also known as jumping genes. And these are basically places within the genome where genes can move from one place to another. So that's the trans part of the transposon. We're transposing them from one place to another. And when they do move about like that, there can be some interesting consequences. Now sometimes, because they move as a block, they can be used to express certain things in a different place. You can kind of see in the background to this slide, we've got some corn there with some interesting things going on. And transposons do this. They're basically little lumps of genetic material, of genes that are moving from one place in the genome to another. And as a result, the expression of those genes may not occur in a natural kind of a way. Often transposons will become inactivated over time, but they're just another source of these naturally occurring mutagens. And we'll have a look at these chemical mutagens and electromagnetic radiation together as a comparison in class. Probably useful at this point to put a table together so you've got an identity for each of these different types of mutagens, some examples, and the effect that they have on the DNA. Thanks for watching.